There we go. Okay, good morning, everyone. We're just going to start with a quick video from You at U. Awesome. So again, welcome to You at U. We're the Undergraduate Programs in Education. Today we have Amy Burns, our Associate Dean, myself and Virginia Rain, we're both student advisors for the Bachelor of Education program. And we have Caitlin Kane, and she'll be able to chat a little bit about what she does a little bit later on in the presentation. So good morning, Amy.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. We're starting to get used to doing some of these things online. It's not our first You at U in the digital environment, but I must say that how wonderful would it have been to welcome you all to campus. But I am so pleased that we are able to welcome you in this way. It's a really interesting time. The fact that you're here and the fact that you are either have decided to or are considering coming to the University of Calgary makes it a really exciting time for you, because the University of Calgary and the Werklund School of Education is really just a very exciting place to be. It's a relatively young university when you consider it to, consider it against other universities of its size. It's a research intensive university, so you're going to be surrounded by some of the greatest minds that our country has to offer in academia. And it's also a very flexible university. And I think that's one of the things that I appreciate about the University of Calgary the most. It is nimble. So we have been able to innovate and pivot and shift, not just during these unusual times, but also during the times that we enjoyed before COVID hit. And this time is no different. So I know one of the things that you're probably all thinking is, what is university going to look like next year? I know I would be wondering that if I was coming. What's it going to look like? Well, I'm here to tell you we're not 100% sure what the world's going to look like in September, but I am here to tell you it's going to be great. So no matter what happens, whether we're online, on campus, or a mix of both, the University of Calgary and the Werklund School of Education is going to make sure that you have a really great experience. I am just so pleased to be here this morning to welcome you, not just to the University of Calgary, but to potentially the teaching profession. I myself had almost 20 years in the K-12 school system before joining the University of Calgary. And I can tell you that if you are considering becoming a teacher, and obviously you are if you're here, you have picked the best profession that there is. You are going to make an impact on literally thousands of lives. And one day, when someone is telling their story about their favorite teacher and how that teacher just made them feel like they were special and important and heard, they're going to be talking about you. So welcome to the Werklund School of Education, to the profession, and to the University of Calgary. And I hope you have a great day here at UCalgary. Thanks so much for coming, and we're so excited to have you here.
Thank you, Amy. All right, guys, so what we're going to quickly talk about today is what is a Bachelor's of Education, right? What does it kind of do for you? So the undergraduate program that we have here, the B.Ed program, consists of 120 units. Typically, we're looking at about 4 years of study to complete the program. But as you see on the slide, we actually have a few different ways you can actually obtain that Bachelor's of Education. So as soon as you complete one of the many different ways of acquiring a Bachelor's of Education, you'll actually be able to teach K-12 in Alberta. And this is the only way to teach K-12 in Alberta, is that you must have that Bachelor's of Education to meet certification requirements within the province. So like I said, the different ways that we have for you guys to obtain a Bachelor's of Education, we have the 4-year Bachelor of Education program. It typically takes about 4 years to complete. We have the 5-year concurrent program. That concurrent program is typically combined with, well, it is combined with another degree. You'll be looking to combine it with an arts program, a science program, or potentially a kinesiology program. Kinesiology will actually start their intake for fall 2022 is what we're kind of slotting that for there. If you've already completed a degree, so maybe you have a Bachelor's of Arts or something like that already, we actually do have a 2-year after degree program. So you'll still meet the requirements if you complete the 2-year after degree, and you'll be able to meet that certification requirements to then go and teach. So great different ways. Yes, you can flip-flop in between some of them, especially the 4 and the 5-year. But that's something that we can certainly chat about a little bit more if you guys want to book in an advisement appointment with one of us. If you want to talk about what does your 4 years look like and what if you want to add or change something, that's what your advisors, us, that's what we're here for. So the purpose of this presentation is a little bit more, just a brief kind of background of what the BEd is, but then also where the experiences of current students in the program. So you guys really have an idea of what students are kind of feeling, right? And then at the end, if you guys have advising questions, we can leave it to the very, very end. Otherwise, feel free to shoot us a quick email, and I'll put the email up at the very end of the presentation. So everyone's favorite part of the BEd program is probably their field experience, right? That's when you can physically go out most of the time, right? To an elementary or secondary setting. So what you see here is that we have 4 different field opportunities, 4 different experiences. And as you move up in your field experiences, they get a little bit longer. And as they get longer, you can see that you're starting to teach more and more of your time actually at the school. So your first 2 weeks is quite nice, it's quite light, right? You do 1 week in an elementary setting and 1 week in a secondary setting. That gives you guys the opportunity to experience kind of both settings, right? Regardless of what teachable you guys go into. Moving on into your field 2, that's 4 weeks, right? You'll be working with your partner teacher, developing a little bit of classroom lessons plans, and teaching up to about 50% of the time. And that's going to be in that elementary or secondary setting that you chose to apply and successfully got into for the program. Moving into the other ones, right, then you're starting to teach up to 75% or 100% of the time by the time you get to your final field experience. So those are great opportunities that we have. These are mandatory for you guys to get your certification, but that's all there available for you guys for the program. So moving on to student opportunities, I'm going to mute myself and I'll let Caitlin Kane chat for a little bit.
Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Kane and I'm the Experiential Learning Facilitator with Werklund. I am a 3-time alumna from the University of Calgary, and one of my favorite parts of my degrees was getting involved in opportunities outside of the classroom as well. Those are some of my most cherished memories and ultimately the reason why I ended up where I am today. So I wanted to take a few moments just to introduce you to some of the co-curricular programs that are available while you're doing your BEd degree. So first up is our Teaching Across Borders program, otherwise known as TAB. So TAB is the international experience available to students during their education degree. It's not a study abroad, but you do volunteer in a number of different educational contexts in a different country or a different city. You're either working in classrooms or working in other kinds of education programs. We currently have 13 placements in 10 different countries. And the program takes place during your final year of your BEd degree, but I recommend starting to plan and maybe save up for that experience as soon as possible. And once you're in your degree, we offer information sessions each fall. So if you want to learn more about the program, you can start attending those, whether you're in your first year of your BEd or in your second to last year of your BEd. We also have other experiential learning programs. So within those programs, we have placements available so that you can gain more experience in education settings. With our service learning placements, you get out into the community and work directly with children and youth in a number of different settings. We currently have placements with groups like the Calgary Bridge Foundation for Youth, Calgary Immigrant Services, the Calgary Stampede, and many more. We also have our professional learning opportunities where you work with community partners to offer skill development that will serve you as an educator. We have programs working with Dare to Care, Beakerhead, and school leadership teams as well. And then our land-based programs are opportunities to connect your coursework to the land and allow you to learn from Indigenous elders and community members. There are 3 different field trips. One goes to Nose Hill Park, one goes to Blackfoot Crossing, and the other one goes to Writing on Stone Provincial Park. And we also have mentorship programs that match you with a mentor depending where you are in the program. So for students earlier on in their degree, you're matched with a final year student who can help guide you through the program and share their experiences. And then as final year students, you can be matched with a professional mentor who can support you as you prepare to graduate and to enter the workforce. So through all of our experiential learning placements, there are a lot of ways to gain more experience, skills, and tools to help support you as you go through your BEd, your field experience, and of course, when you graduate. If you have any questions, please let me know in the chat or feel free to send them over email if the presentation is over.
Awesome. Thank you, Caitlin. So as you guys see, there's lots and lots of different opportunities for you guys, optional opportunities that you guys are more than welcome to go into to really enhance your valuable experience while you're at the University of Calgary and really bring that into your profession once you graduate. So lots of great opportunities. So like Caitlin said, please shoot her a quick email if you guys have any questions about different opportunities, or you guys can see a nice big list of all the different options and programs that we have going on through the Werklund School of Education just on our website. And I'll have that linked at the very end too. Awesome. Okay, so now we have the student panel. So what I'm going to quickly do is see if we have Kyle, Tasha, Jonah, and Naomi here. Let's take a quick peek. Virginia, did you happen to see them in the lobby? Let's take a quick peek.
Sorry, no, I'm not finding Tazia or Kyle.
But Jonah's here?
I'm just having a look. I'm not seeing actually any of them.
That's all right. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do then is we're going to talk a little bit about the different programs that we have. They might have missed a date or something like that. I'm not too sure, but that's not a problem. So what I'm going to do is share a little bit about different experiences and things that us as advisors have actually heard from students when we're physically in the school, or when we're actually having our advising kind of conversations with students. So what we'll probably do is just do a little mix of Virginia and myself taking a quick peek at some of the different questions that we have and kind of our takes on those. So what we're going to do is take a first look at the first set of questions. First set of questions are...
Hey, William, I think you have us now.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. I didn't see you coming in, so there was a whole bunch of different names. That's perfect. So is everyone here, or is it just you right now?
Naomi's here, I see. And
Okay.
I think the other two are probably on their way.
Perfect. Cool. So what we'll probably do then is we'll just start with Naomi and Kyle. Just maybe you guys just do a little brief introduction of who you are, what you guys do, what the ESA is, and then we can see if the other two are here, and then we can kind of move on to some of the questions.
Perfect. Sorry, everybody, for the delay. Looks like Jonah's just joining as well. So I'm the incoming ESA president, which is the Education Students Association. The other three will have a lot more to say, but there's a ton of events with ESA. It's a ton of professional development. It's available to anybody in the education program. So whether you're a 5-year concurrent, whether you're 4-year, whether you're in your first year, So it's a really great way to get involved and learn a lot of new things and get to know some education students. I'm in the 4-year secondary biology stream. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome.
Jonah, do you want to go next?
Sure thing, Naomi. Hi, everyone. I'm Jonah. So I'm the outgoing ESA president. I'm graduating this year. So yeah, based off of what Kyle said, he covered a lot of the key areas, but the Education Students Association is kind of like your representation to the faculty when you're a student and also to the Alberta Teachers Association. So getting involved with the ESA is like getting involved with the professional association before you've even started becoming a teacher. We offer a lot of different professional development sessions, which is essentially sort of supplemented to your learning in the classroom. So if you want to learn how to make a digital escape room or learning about topics like Indigenous history in Alberta, very wide range, so you can learn a lot, which is really excellent. And a fun fact as well that the University of Calgary ESA is very proud of the fact that we're actually the ESA that hosts the most professional development sessions out of any ESA in the province. So the next leading ESA only hosts about, I believe, 12 or 20 professional development sessions per year, and we host about 55. So, and that's not including our other events as well, of which there's quite a few. So it is a very good ESA to be a part of if you are interested.
Hey everyone, I'm Naomi Shaw. I'm the outgoing ESA Vice President of Administration and the Student Union representative for the Faculty of Education. So I'll touch briefly on what the Student Union does for you, but that's where your health plan at the university comes in. They host various wellness events, like yoga on Zoom, or when we're on campus, it's in the space in Mac Hall. And they are your representatives to the Alberta government. So we do a lot of advocacy work on the behalf of students regarding tuition. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. Is Tasha here or no? She's not in yet. That's okay. We'll just do the 3. That's not a problem. All right. So what we'll just do right now is we'll go through field experience. You guys all should have had some sort of field experience already. It is most likely all going to be online for the most part. So we can certainly chat about what your guys' experiences are. So Kyle, if you wanted to go first, if you just wanted to chat a little bit about your kind of more memorable moments you've had in field, and maybe a little bit of the challenges that you faced and how you kind of overcame those.
Perfect. Yeah, so I think most of us just finished field yesterday, whether it was field 2 or field 4. So it's still very fresh. I still have my thank you cards right next to me. We were lucky to do it in person. They just went online as of Monday, but most memorable, I think everything was memorable. Everything had some challenges, but it was a lot of fun. So I think maybe most memorable might have just been, there's a few students who typically weren't connecting or weren't like taking notes, different things. And there was a few moments that my partner and I had, hey, try this. And then the student was super engaged in the lesson and loving it. So just those little moments of finding connection with the students and getting out of our classroom into theirs.
Awesome. Thanks. Naomi, you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go next. Sorry. So I just finished my field 4, so the 8-week practicum, and I was so lucky to be in person for my whole 8 weeks. And in my 6-week practicum, we did go online for the last week. So it's nice to have the full 8 weeks in the classroom. But I think one of the most memorable parts of my field experience actually just happened this past week. I had my students engage in a design process where they built a machine where they could lift a pencil from the ground onto their desk, and all 8 of my groups of 3 achieved it, and they managed to get the machine working, and they're applying their knowledge on electricity. So that's just an incredible way to end field. And I think the biggest challenge happened in field 3, where we had to do the transition online, and it was a really quick change, but my students were extremely resilient and they took the change with grace, and I think it really bonded us together. and strengthened our relationships.
Awesome, thank you. Joan, you want to go next and chat about your field experience?
Sure thing. So I guess the most memorable start of my part of my field experience, or at least from the most recent one, was actually how I started Field 4, which is the final field experience that starts mid-February, because my partner teacher was actually in isolation or in quarantine himself when I started the first week. And I was with a substitute teacher as well as a teaching assistant during that entire week. So I'd called and coordinated with my partner teacher the weekend before just to kind of get things in order. And I really had the opportunity to kind of start teaching almost full on 100% right in my first week back, which was quite a lot of work. It was quite confusing as well, because one class in the morning was actually partially online, partially in person, since the majority of the class had the quarantine, yet there were still 2 or 3 students in person. So I had to set up the PowerPoint for in person while doing it online simultaneously. So there's a lot of, thankfully the IT was already set up because I'm awful with that, but I managed to get through that. Then the afternoon, everyone was in person, but there's a lot more learning disabilities and different inclusive needs that were in the classrooms. We were English language learners. And in the system that my school is that it was in a quartered system. So each period was about 2.5 hours long. So it was quite a long time to be in the classroom coordinating a single lesson with students. So it was a little bit of work at the beginning, but in the end, it ended up being quite a lot of fun. And it was kind of cool. I kind of had my own classroom for the week before my partner teacher got back there, since the substitute would often just sort of go off and do their own thing during lunch periods and stuff like that. So I had time to prep and all that stuff. So it was really cool to get that independence very early on while being supervised. But yeah, no, it was definitely memorable part of field experience.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. I think, yeah, it's really awesome for incoming students to really see and kind of hear from students doing field and really kind of get that more like a firsthand experience versus just us on the advising side being like, yeah, field is awesome, it's so much fun, but for actually hearing from people who actually participate in field. All right, so we have a few questions here. So what we're going to do is we'll have Kyle start out with service learning. Maybe I'll chat a quick little bit about what athletics looks like. Jonah, you can chat a little bit about research, and then Naomi, you can chat a little bit about your experience for online learning, if that's all right.
Hi, Bill. Sorry to interrupt. Tazia's just joined as well.
Perfect. So we'll have her do the athletics part, and then we'll have her introduce herself at that time too. Fantastic. Thanks, Virginia. So Kyle, go ahead and chat a little bit about your service learning. What was the most challenging but rewarding part of your experience, and just overall, how did you enjoy it?
Definitely. I'll try to keep my answers pretty quick so that we're somewhat back on schedule. So I've been lucky to be a part of 3 service learning. And William, did you cover kind of what service learning is?
Yes, we did with Caitlin Kane.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So I got to do 3 of the additional opportunities. So just before COVID hit, I was working with the Stampede School, which was really cool. There was a different class every week. They would come in and work with the experienced teachers there. So that was really cool. I got to see probably about 10 different teachers and then 2 facilitators at the program. And then this past year, I did 2 as well that were both online. So there were some challenges there, but it was a lot of fun working with an organization called Calgary Bridge Foundation, and then working with an organization within the U of C as well. Yeah, it's an incredible opportunity. And for me, like when I was doing my biology classes, I loved bio, but getting to see kids and getting to apply some of that knowledge and bring it back relevant was incredible for me. And any opportunity to connect your learning back to the teaching that you want to do just makes everything worth it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. Tasha, did you want to jump on, introduce yourself, kind of what you do with the ESA, and then chat a little bit about, maybe you can even chat a little bit about your field experience if you'd like, and then a little bit about athletics in terms of balancing sports and school and any advice for new students.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I had trouble with the Zoom link, but yeah, so my name is Tasha Rushford. I am part of the ESA. I'm the VP of events. So I've had the amazing opportunity of being able to facilitate a lot of events with the students, mostly based around social justice and like diversity and inclusion this year. So most notably was the Indigenous Education panel, which had over 9 panelists, which was amazing. And so we had a lot of amazing questions that were able to be answered. Yeah, and my field experience has been just such a roller coaster. We went into isolation 3 times. And so just being resilient and things like that. And just also just realizing that, you know, as hard as it is maybe for you to adjust, it's also just as hard for the students. So just making sure that you're being there for them and making sure that you're checking in, not just academically, but mental health wise and all that kind of stuff. And it just helped me even just thinking about that when you're in the classroom too, that it's not just about academics and like there's a lot going on for those kiddos at times. So yeah, in terms of athletics, I was able to play for the University of Calgary Dinos Ringette team for my first 3 years of the 5-year concurrent degree program. Probably one of the best experiences of my life to start off the university experience, just like getting involved with, I mean, you immediately have 15 new friends, and just that helped me with confidence and all that kind of stuff with starting off my university experience. Balancing sports and school, I know that it seems like it might be like a lot of work at times, and sometimes it is, like you are very busy, but just like honestly taking care of your own mental health through sports for me was just the perfect thing, because it freed me up and it helped me with my academics a lot, even though I was at the school probably for like 12 hours sometimes. But it was also good in terms of, you know, you have commitment to your teammates, so you're always there for them. So you might, you know, go to the library for a little bit and just do your studying and get your stuff out of the way so that you don't have to worry about that once you get home. Yeah, that's probably my advice. I would say just if you're interested in sports, just always stay in sports. It's such a good release sometimes for stress or anything like that. And it doesn't even have to be through the University of Calgary, but they do have like a ton of amazing sports, both for varsity and clubs. So yeah, thank you.
Awesome, thanks. I'm just gonna have one follow-up question for you, if you don't mind. What did your kind of schedule look like during those kind of first 3 years? Did you take 5 classes? It sounds like a lot. 5 classes, did you go down to 4 or 3? Did you kind of expand how long you're gonna be in the program? What was that kind of like as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, like academics always comes first. And that's the nice thing about doing a sport through the University of Calgary, is that you have to be doing well in your classes as well in order to continue to play. So that's a really good question, because yeah, if you love your sport, you have to also make sure that you're keeping up your academics as well. For me, Ringette was about 6 out of 7 days a week. So it is quite the commitment. So you have to make sure that that's what you want to do. But so it was a little bit crazy at times, but just always make sure that you're willing to, you know, reach out to your professors. Like they're very, very understanding of sports as well. And also coaches are super understanding as well in terms of, you know, I have to write a paper, it's due tonight, and so I can't come to practice. Just making sure that you open lines of communication, I think is really helpful.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, and in some sports, I'd also say that they are very, very time consuming, especially when you get into kind of varsity level kind of sports. Those ones go quite, in terms of time commitment, are quite high. So if students are looking to play just any sort of sports or any sort of extracurricular activities, anything you guys are looking to involve in your schedule, if you're looking to reduce your course load, maybe from 5 to 4 or to 3, if that's what it is, please feel free to reach out to your advisors as well, just so we can chat about how long you're going to be in the program for. Do you want to take some spring and summer courses to kind of make sure you're taking 10 a year? What is your kind of expectations, and how long do you actually want to be in the program? Because if you're in the 4-year program, you could take 7 years to finish it if you'd like. But do you actually want to take 7 years? Probably not. But maybe let's talk about what 5 looks like, right? So yeah, just working with everyone, open lines of communication, ask questions. I'm happy to help those students out. So thank you, appreciate that. Jonah, did you want to chat a little bit about the Werklund Undergraduate Research?
Sure thing. So basically my experience with research is kind of an interesting story. So I started my first year education 201. My professor talked about the peer award and research. And to be quite honest, I didn't exactly know what research was at that point in time. Fast forward a few years later, basically kind of a brief overview of what I figured out research was, is that if you're in the sciences, it's kind of an assisting professor in the lab, or specifically in education, it's often with literature reviews, so reading academic articles, doing research, and kind of figuring out key findings that people didn't realize before from reading, or doing interviews with people like other student teachers, current practicing teachers, seeing what they have to say, cataloging that, and trying to identify key themes. So that's kind of what research is in a very quick overview. But fast forward a few years after my first year, I actually applied with the same professor from that intro level education class. I was successful in getting a scholarship, which allowed me to focus on doing research throughout the entire spring, summer semester last year. So it was completely online, a little bit difficult, but basically what I was able to do was create a survey, get human ethics approval, since you need approval to whenever you're interacting with people as part of your research to make sure that everything is on the up and up. Got all that data and sort of information from those surveys, read a whole bunch of articles and got key quotes and information from them, then combined everything into a big report. And then kind of, this is what I found based off of interviewing people, reading these articles about civics and citizenship education. So how can you educate students to become optimal citizens, whether it's in the sciences or social studies, anything in between. And then I had the opportunity as well to present some of that information and some of my findings at the Students' Union Undergraduate Research Symposium and the Palliser Teachers Convention as well in Calgary. So it was quite a lot of fun. It's basically getting paid to do schoolwork instead of paying to do schoolwork. So it's quite the shift, which I quite enjoyed. But yeah, no, it was a very fun experience. It allowed me to get a lot of information and sort of knowledge that was useful for my classes and useful for my teaching, as I was able to incorporate a lot of the citizenship stuff when I was teaching social studies in my practicum. So overall, it's just a really good experience. It's a lot of flexibility and freedom, since you kind of have your schedule is your own, aside from coordinating with your supervisor. So a lot of flexibility, a lot more than I was used to in any job I'd had, which was a little bit challenging at first, especially being online, but it's very rewarding because you have to figure out stuff for yourself, make your own schedule, and really hold yourself to it. So it was really excellent experience being more independent, as well as learning stuff that was relevant to my degree and to my practice as a teacher in practicum. So a lot of research is a lot of fun. Highly would recommend it if you have the chance.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I think the research part, especially with the different awards that comes with it, I think is like a really cool opportunity for students. So if you guys have questions about scholarships, research awards, again, feel free to just send a quick email to UPE, and then we can set you guys up with some of the info packages for those different awards. Naomi, did you want to chat a little bit about online tutoring and again about that experience and what the time commitment is like, because it's certainly different than other service learning and other research requirements in terms of time commitment and what you get from it?
For sure. So last year, when COVID first turned the world upside down, I was really lucky to have the opportunity to participate in online tutoring. And one of the best things about the program for me was being able to build your own schedule and kind of decide how many students you felt like you were able to tutor. So for me, I didn't have a job. I was living by myself. I had a lot of extra time, so I took on 5 students. So I tutored each of the students for 1 hour each. So 5 hours a week tutoring, and then in terms of prep work, I'd spend 1 to 2 hours, depending on the week, to make sure that I was ready for those sessions. But you could take on 1 student for a 2. I did not have a lot going on, so I had 5. So I had 3 grade 1 students and 2 grade 5 students, and they were all vastly different and really helped me learn how to adapt for the diverse needs of students. And that knowledge I gained in online tutoring was extremely helpful when I moved into field, especially when I did have to transition online. So I highly recommend doing online tutoring, because in this world, we don't know when you're going to have to go online. So the online tutoring was a really good preparation for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think online tutoring is really cool because it can be such a small time commitment, if you like, or a little bit larger. And you can kind of work up to something more like research or service learning and tab and stuff. So really depends on what you guys as students kind of feel like. There's different levels and different time commitments, different kind of challenge levels. So it fits there's something kind of for everyone. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to stop the recording, and then I'll be able to unmute everyone if everyone wants to chat, and we can kind of have more of like an open floor conversation. If you guys have any questions for the ESA, you guys are more than welcome to ask. And then after we're kind of done with the questions, remember that we do have that link at the very end that will kind of move up your registration date. So make sure you guys stay around for that.